Hey everyone, welcome back to the Cinema on the Mind podcast. My name is Noah and I'm joined by my co-host,
Posse.
and we are going to give you some movie reviews with a few character impressions today. So with that, let's get into it. Alright everybody, today we are going to be going over the Disney movie Emperor's New Groove, and that is, in my opinion, one of my favorite Disney movies from Disney Animation. Posse, what is your opinion on that movie?
I watched it a couple years ago and, well, I loved it. You know, the whole premise of it was pretty amazing. And how they incorporated, like, Egypt into it, pretty amazing.
It is, yeah. The culture in the movie, honestly, I think is pretty impressive. I don't go too much into it every now and then. I kind of like the Aztec look of it. Like, if you think about, like, Emperor Cusco, who is one of the characters, he's the main character in the movie. A very selfish ruler, honestly, at the start of the movie. But his palace in the movie itself, yeah, just like the Mayan and Aztec style of the palace, I just always kind of liked.
Yeah, I love they incorporated different types of cultures into the movie, and I think that really put the movie all together.
It was very nice. All right, so for the start of the movie review itself, I would like to go over the plot, if that works with you.
Fine, correct.
All right, so the plot itself takes place, like in Aztec-style jungle. Emperor Cusco, who's the main character of our movie, he is the ruler of this very small village in the kind of a rainforest area. And he's a very selfish ruler. Now, he looks after his people, but he also cares very deeply about himself. And I would have to say, and this is just my opinion, that it has to deal with his upbringing, not really by his parents, because his parents really weren't around, but by his first-in-command, Yzma, who is our main antagonist in the movie. And, Pazzi, what are your thoughts on that?
The way with, like, his character, how he portrays himself, it really does come down to the people that were around him, well, his first in command, and the way she acted around him, and how he acts now, even though in the plot she tries to kill him, even though it's how she acted with him that made him the man he is today.
That is very true, but if you look in a little deeper into the movie itself, there's a part where Cusco, he is like out and about for like a little bit. He's like right after his like big opening scene. It's a big like song and dance number in the movie, and after that scene it shows Yzma actually in the throne acting as the empress of the kingdom. And if you see that scene, she actually shows no care for the subjects at all. There's one character who actually comes up to her and is like saying that they need food for their family. And her response is literally, "It is no concern of mine if your family needs," and like she leans over to one of the guards and says, "What was it again?" And she has to be reminded what they needed. So like it just goes to show like how like selfish she is, like more selfish than Cusco himself.
Yeah, I do believe it just comes back to a power demand, you know, being basically raising someone that has more power than you, has probably put in her mind like, dang.
Yeah.
I need power, you know?
Yeah, it's very true. Now, if you go a little further into the movie, a little later on, Cusco does not stay this way for the entire movie. A little later in the movie, a character comes in named Pacha. And Pacha is basically the exact opposite of Cusco. He's very caring for his people. He's kind of the leader of the village itself. Kind of like if the village had a mayor, almost. Like the second in command below the emperor, who is Cusco. And he comes into Cusco because Cusco summons him, and he's actually asking Pacha's permission to destroy his village and build a summer palace, even though Cusco already has a palace, and he's literally the ruler. He's doing nothing except for just the little things here and there for his subjects. And like I see that in the movie, and I'm like, wow, it's a funny movie, but like literally thinking about it, that is just the worst thing ever.
Yeah. With everything that happened in the movie and him turning into a llama or whatever he was, and it really showed how he shouldn't take things for granted, even with the power dynamic that is with the culture they have. And his friend being wasn't his friend like a peasant or like under the power?
Yeah, Pacha.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, him being friends with Pacha, then becoming a llama, he's like, oh yeah, I don't really think this power should be taken for granted. And if the second in command became like the empress, it would have destroyed everything, like
Oh yeah.
the way everything was.
Well, and they kind of go into that a little bit in the movie, and I don't want to like go over the entire movie itself, but a very brief summary of it is after Cusco gets turned into a llama, as you said, the reason he gets turned into a llama is because his second in command, I said first in command earlier, I guess it could be taken either way,
Yeah.
Yzma, she makes a potion that she thinks is poison, and she has her first in command, Kronk, who is my favorite character in the movie, and we'll go into that in a little bit. She has Kronk bring the poison to a fake dinner for Cusco, and she thinks that she kills him, but they flip the label on the poison, and it's actually a potion to turn somebody into a llama. And then that's kind of where the cycle of everything starts, where Cusco meets up with Pacha later by accident, and they go on this big journey to get him back to the palace, turned back into a human, and that whole adventure itself, being around Pacha and having that life experience, makes Cusco a better man, a better emperor, and basically makes him the right kind of person to lead his kingdom.
Yeah, I wholeheartedly agree.
So, one thing I definitely wanted to go into with this movie after the plot was I actually have, like, there's so many things in this movie. I already said it's a very funny movie, but there's so many parts in this movie that I think are so funny, mainly revolving around Kronk and Yzma. Do you have, Pasi, any favorite quotes or lines from the movie that you can recall?
Ooh, not that comes to the top of my mind.
Not top of your head?
Not top of my head.
So one of my favorite scenes in the movie is during the fake dinner scene for Cusco. Kronk is making dinner, and Yzma comes in with this plan to poison Cusco at the dinner, and she asks Kronk if the poison is ready, and she needs to clarify it with him first because Kronk is not the smartest of people, he's more brawn than brain. And the best line, which he says back to her, is, "Oh right, the poison for Cusco, the poison chosen specially to kill Cusco, Cusco's poison. That poison." And then Yzma responds with, "Yes, that poison. I get you covered." I love that line so much, and voice impressions has been a talent of mine for quite a while, and when the day that I found out that I could do Kronk and Yzma's voice easily, I was so excited because, yeah, that line is just so funny.
The line. You perfectly did that line.
Thank you.
With voice impressions for me, the one I can usually do was be like Stitch, like, "Oh, hang on, means family." That's the only one I was
That's actually
able
really
to
good.
do since I've watched any Pixar Disney movie.
So, do you think you'd be able to do a voice swap where you do Stitch saying that line instead?
Ooh.
Doesn't have to be like any different lines. It could just be the same quote, but you do Stitch's voice instead, like how he would do it.
Yeah, with my impression with Stitch, it's like, the poison for Cusco. That poison to kill him? Oh, yeah, gotcha. And yeah, it's like, that's the only one I can really do among, any Disney movie.
Yeah, it's actually really good, honestly. In my opinion, Stitch is one of the easier ones to do. Stitch is an easy voice for me to do as well. The one voice swap that I would always do, and we're going to get done very shortly here with this podcast, before we wrap up the outro, there's one voice swap that I've always thought is hilarious with Kronk. Have you watched the Lord of the Rings or the Hobbit movies?
No, I have
You
not.
have not. Do you know who Smeagol is?
The small dude?
Yeah, like the...
Yeah.
Okay, with the ring, the
Mhm.
precious. Okay, so I thought it was just so funny, like, if Smeagol was in that position, if he was saying that line instead of Kronk, it'd be, "Yes, precious, the poison, we must have it for Cusco, the poison for Cusco. Yes, my love, yes, we must have the poison is for Cusco, and it's going to go to Cusco. I am." I just think that's so funny, like, instead of Kronk, like, just the voice swap there is just so drastic, but somehow it fits so perfectly.
I personally think any voice swap with the little raspy undertone can
Yeah.
always fit that scene. Because it's like a, ooh, I'm about to kill someone scene. So it
Yeah.
always, any type of voice will fit.
Now, that is actually all the time we have today for the podcast. Pasi, thank you so much for coming on.
Of course, no problem.
I think that, all in all, Emperor's New Groove is a great Disney movie. I think it's hilarious, and definitely a top 5 pick for me on animated Disney movies. Would you say the same?
Of course.
So, with that being said, I hope you all enjoyed the podcast. That is all we have for today. Remember, if you enjoyed the podcast, please make sure to give our show a like and follow us for more. And most importantly, stay cultured, keep it rolling, and remember, it's not a bad movie if you haven't seen it.